All right, Northcentral Nfused. It is May. This year is flying by, it feels like. Although we are a little bit early filming this today. So, May 2019. Today's on this month's podcast. We will have our right-of-way clearance. What's the coordinator?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jared Rumfeld. He's going to talk to you about some tips for growing plants, especially when it comes to around power lines. So that's always important, and we will be discussing more with Fiber, and it's Electrical Safety Month.
That's correct.
Correct. All right. So, as usual, we are joined by our CEO Kevin Doddridge.
Hello.
Our Director of Safety and Loss Control JD Cox.
Hello.
And our Director of Marketing and Economic Development Michael Bellapani.
Thank you.
All right. So, what are we starting with? We want to talk about community stuff, or
we
events?
can go through the calendar, and we like to do this each month just to kind of keep everybody informed about community happenings, events that North Central sponsors and promotes, and just kind of get that out in the forefront for everybody to help some of our organizations. And this podcast will probably post before, so hopefully we'll catch some people for this. But the Countywide Earth Day celebration is going to be on Saturday, April 27th from 8 to 1. And that's going to be around the square in Hernando. Farmers Market kicks off. If the weather cooperates, I think they have a 5K, and we'll be out there with the demonstration train.
Great event. Great event.
Very fun time to bring out the family. The entire square will have booths around it, and folks talking about Earth Day topics, and then you can get some great food at the farmers market.
Election's going on, so I'm sure there'll be lots of people shaking hands and
There will be.
that nature. Absolutely.
Tis the season.
Tis the season.
You think.
And I wanted to tell you all about another event, great event that North Central is proud to sponsor, and that's the Junior Auxiliary of DeSoto County's Day at the Derby, and that's going to be May 4th at the Gin in Nesbitt. It'll be your traditional derby party where you've got ladies in hats and fascinators. I learned what a fascinator was this week, by the way.
You better tell everybody because I don't know either.
That sounds
Apparently, it's a hat that you pin in your hair. I don't know if it'd be considered a hat, but it's more like an accessory. We'll just call it.
So
that.
all those years of you wearing
headdress.
sun hats and stuff like that, you didn't know what a fascinator was, right?
Never knew it, but now I do. But if you want more information about this fundraiser, this event will be a fun event, and the proceeds go to benefit the children of DeSoto County. Go to jadesoto.gives. And in addition to that, we've got some other community events. The DeSoto Economic Development Council is having their annual Salute to Industry golf tournament, which is probably one of the bigger golf tournaments of the year. That'll be May 9th at Cherokee Valley, and proceeds of that golf tournament go to benefit the DeSoto County Foundation for Excellence in Education, which is a wonderful program that provides teacher grants for our area schools, and some fantastic projects come out of that programs. If you want more information on that golf tournament, how to play or how to sponsor, call the DeSoto Council at 662-429-4414, or you can email Susan Fernandez at sfernandez@desotocounty.com. And on May 13th, that's the Lions Club tournament that is benefiting both Olive Branch and the Byhalia Lions Clubs. That'll be at Olive Branch Country Club, and if you want more information on that tournament, you can dial 662-895-6525 for the pro shop at the country club, and they'll direct you on how to sign up for that or sponsor. And lastly, we've got the James Lunsford Memorial Golf Tournament. That's the Olive Branch Chamber Tournament. Was unfortunately rained out today, the day we were taping this. So we've got a rain out date of May 20th. That's going to be at Olive Branch Country Club. You can call the Chamber at 662-895-2600 or go to obms.us to find out how to play or sponsor that tournament. Great event that will be on May 20th this year. And just to kind of fill everybody else in, you'll see in the Today in Mississippi that's coming up, North Central has awarded our annual scholarships, and we give away $1,000 scholarships to graduating seniors, deserving graduating seniors in our service territory. And just be on the lookout for the Today in Mississippi, because we'll have features of each of those students. We gave away 8 scholarships this year, so it's fantastic. Always a good time to be able to go to those senior award ceremonies and present those scholarships. And just to kind of give everybody a reminder, we alluded to the fact that it is election season, so voter registration is extremely important. I'm not excited to say this, but DeSoto County, Marshall County tend to have a poor voter turnout, so we want to make sure that folks are registered. If you've moved, update your registration. The Department of Public Safety offices, or the DMV, you can go and update your driver's license information there, and that updates your voter registration. But you need to be registered by, I believe, July 1st is the deadline for voter registration for the August 6th primary. And to get more information on that, you can actually go to the circuit clerk's office, fill out the paperwork, or download the registration form to send in at the Secretary of State's website, which is sos.ms.gov. And North Central is always involved in the election process, so we're looking for ways to be able to help facilitate voter registration. Currently in talks with the Secretary of State's office and also our circuit clerk's office to see if maybe we can help organize some voter registrations either in schools or in our offices, and just really promote that. So, but we've got an August 6th primary coming up. Statewide offices are up for re-election, as well as many county offices. So.
Okay. And so we have some updates on fiber and broadband internet.
Yep, a lot of things going on. I guess first and foremost, today is Lineman Appreciation Days. You'll see a lot of different organizations, different utilities celebrate Lineman Appreciation Day on different days. At North Central, you have Lineman Appreciation Day, you have Administrative Assistance Day, so we kind of roll them all into one. We'll celebrate next week Employee Appreciation as a whole. But today, nationwide, we do salute our line workers. As I always tell people, they knew what the job was when they took it. That's the reason they wanted it. But sometimes they do still get called beyond the call of duty.
Like last weekend.
Like last weekend and potentially this afternoon. And not only are they watching the weather and responding to those emergencies that we have in the North Central service area. If we are fortunate, like we often are, and miss the bad weather, and maybe they get it in the central part of the state or somewhere else, we are anxious to go help them as well. Mm-hmm. They work in very difficult conditions, work with high voltage, weather conditions, being away from home, so we certainly appreciate the job that they do. Mm-hmm. The more that we try to tell people that electricity is something that's necessary, then there's a certain amount of accountability that falls upon us to make sure that it's still going. So we appreciate the linemen and all they do to do that. I didn't talk about fiber much last month because, as I tell people, we're in a very boring period of study and administrative type matters. But to kind of set a timeline for some of those people that are concerned that our discussion and research into fiber is taking a long time, it's going to take a while. This is something that you just don't jump into a $80 million project. But next week, we will review our second and hopefully our last economic feasibility study. It's a study that's going to tell us just what I said. Is it economically feasible that we install fiber throughout our system and try to get into the high-speed internet business? When that is complete, we will internally try to put together a business plan. If it's economically feasible, then how do we intend to do this? Once we form that plan, something that we as a staff are comfortable with, then we'll go to our board of directors. They'll kind of give us the yay or nay on that. The next process is we're going to have to go to our membership. We'll have to actually have a membership meeting. Whether it coincides with the annual meeting in October, I don't know. Depends on how the timing of all the rest of this kind of plays out. But our membership will have to vote to allow us to change our articles of incorporation to allow us to form a fiber subsidiary. If we can get that done, then we're going to have to select an engineering consultant to do the design, decide how we're going to do the build out, and then start executing the plan. So for those of us that we talked a lot about, we were going to Jackson, we're getting the fiber bill passed, we did it quickly. I try to tell them to be patient. I'm still going to tell them to be patient. It's just a lot of steps that you have to do to form a corporation to move into a certain market and get this accomplished. So we're gonna make sure that we move deliberately. We don't want to risk any, loss to our members. Make sure that we take a good, objective, conservative approach to how we're going to do this. So we're going to move in a sound, deliberate fashion. I mentioned that, we got all this accomplished in Jackson. Spent a lot of time in Jackson, primarily on that. This is a time of year when myself and some of the staff, we go up to Washington. There are misnomers about people going to D.C. and to Jackson. I guess the misnomer is you're always going asking for money. The electric co-ops rarely go asking for money, and that's not on our agenda this year. Some things that we're going to discuss, though, are there are concerns that through some recent IRS changes made in the budget that electric co-ops may lose some tax exemptions. By that I mean those FEMA funds that we get when we get partially reimbursed for natural disasters. That could be treated as some other grant and it could be taxable. There's $600 million in money from the federal government to help with broadband. If we qualified and access some of that money, to be very plain spoken, that's not money that we've asked for, it's there. If someone's going to get it, we may as well apply for it. But we don't want to be taxed on it. And right now the code doesn't completely give us relief in that area. Most electric cooperatives have good retirement plans. We are known what's called a multi-employer type plan. North Central is not a standalone co-op when it comes to retirement plans, and we want to make sure that we're not paying excessively high insurance premiums on this retirement plan, much like other plans would be. That's really not right and cost our employees a certain amount of money. Also, something that's been coming up in the last several years is the present administration is exploring selling off certain public power assets. The one that affects us is the TVA transmission system. If you have any knowledge of TVA, you'll know that TVA does not take an appropriation at all from the federal government. It is a completely standalone, self-sufficient authority. They generate power, they transmit power, we purchase it from them, and then we sell it to the retail consumer. If they were to sell the transmission assets, I think you can see pretty quick their ability to produce and wheel power would be greatly compromised. The ratepayers in the Tennessee Valley built that transmission system. If the federal government were to sell that transmission system, then the money would go strictly to the coffers of the Treasury, which we do not think is right. So that is something that has not really even come close to passing, but it comes up every year. So if it comes up every year, you need to address it every year.
All right. And then also as we head into May, it is Electrical Safety Month, correct?
Absolutely.
So what do you have for us?
Got a couple things with National Electric Safety Month, and especially it being the spring time of the year and all these things coming together at the same time. Just want to make sure that we constantly remind our members if a storm comes through and there are any power lines down or lines that you do not know what they are, give us a call. Stay away from them. Let us come out there. I think there was a couple of videos out this week showing what power lines on the ground that are mistaken.
You shared on Facebook was incredible.
That are mistaken for being de-energized.
I mean, it just goes, if you don't know, you don't know.
That's exactly right. So treat all lines on the ground as though they are energized. Call the experts. Don't take that responsibility on yourself. Let us come out and check it out. And also, home safety. During the springtime is a great time to do a check around the house and just make sure that any improvements that you make to the electric infrastructure in your house is done by a professional, somebody that knows what they're doing. And make sure you have those protective devices in the house, small children, things of that nature. And also, with all the home improvements, people are out working in the yard, doing a lot of digging, planting trees and flowers and things of that nature. This is also National Safe Digging Month, so make sure if you're going to do any digging in your front yard, if it's more than 12 inches deep, be sure to call 811. because you certainly do
If
not.
I'm digging more than a foot in my yard, I'm calling someone else.
Well, what gets us
That's a
more
long
than,
ways.
Yes, sir. But what gets us more than anything is people installing new fences, and they're digging down for the post for the fences, and they don't get a locate. And then not only can that affect the power to their house and affect their safety, it could also affect the power to their neighbors and possibly their neighborhood. So please, if you're going to do any kind of digging like that, just be sure to get a call into Mississippi 811, get a good locate number, and that way we can be safe and not cause any undue outages on our members.
Yeah, and as tempting as it is to want to hide that green box in your front yard with some new plants, don't do it.
Don't do it. Well, you got to think about it. If in a neighborhood where it's an underground subdivision, if everybody in the subdivision plants shrubs and trees around the electrical boxes, the transformers, if there is an outage and our servicemen need to access those transformers, it's just adding time to the outage. And
it's disruptive. And of course, if you took time to plant those things, you don't want them disturbed.
Absolutely.
And I'm really confident Jared will get into this later with his discussion. But, I've had people question me at times asking about our role in coming on someone else's property. And I have to say, well, as long as North Central has property on your property, we need to be able to access it and maintain it. And that benefits not just you, but everybody else in our service area.
And that number to call, if you, going back to the down power lines, that number to call is 1-800-325-8925. Contact us, talk to one of our CSRs, and they will be glad to get you helped out. And we try to respond pretty quick, as a lot of people saw this weekend, the storms that were coming through here. And it seems like it's rained every weekend in April at this point. You guys had a rain out day for a golf tournament that's being rescheduled. I've had a rain out day for a couple events in my personal life, and I'm hoping that next weekend it doesn't rain. So.
Also, don't forget just about one of the campaigns that we're going to have during National Electric Safety Month is really just educating our members about trimming trees. Putting those tall aluminum ladders up in the trees and trimming trees and things of that nature. Anytime a tree is around a utility line, please call our right-of-way coordinator. Let him come out, take a look at it, because tall aluminum ladders and utility lines do not mix.
Yeah, that's our billboard campaign for the next few months too.
So
you'll get to see that on Highway 78 is our new billboard, and it shows what happens when you mix a tree, a power line, and an aluminum ladder. So.
Absolutely. Yep.
So don't try this at home. All right, is there anything else?
Yeah, I might want to mention this, and this is something we'll start communicating over the next several months, but we're about to undergo some meter change outs. We've contracted with a company called Annixter to upgrade some of the automated metering systems that we put out there, 8-9 years ago?
Right, as technology changes, you have to make a change with them, and it's time that we start changing out our residential and commercial meters. So we try to, on our website, and through social media, update on where we're going to be. The thing to remember is these people that are changing out these meters, they're professionals. They're going to come on your property. They're going to try to make a quick change out. There's no reason for them to come in your home. So we'll also make sure that we're giving you good information on what these trucks look like, what the people who come in your yard, what identification they should have, and just remind you that for no reason should they be asking to come in your home. A lot of times you'll have scammers and people try to take advantage when we take on a large project like that, and we'll try to provide enough information to where we can avoid that.
Yeah,
and when in doubt, just a 30-second phone call can clear everybody. If you have any suspicions whatsoever, call in, and we can certainly clear that up as to whether they should be on your property or not for North Central.
And we won't be calling you. We do automated calls for planned outages and our right-of-way clearances, but we don't call to collect money or send somebody over and that kind of stuff. So call us if you have any questions. That number again, 800-895-3925.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be it. We're going to take a quick break and be back with our right-of-way clearance coordinator, Jared Rumfeld from North Central.
Be sure to call Be sure to follow North Central Electric Power Association on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. As always, you can visit us at www.northcentralepa.com.
All right, we are back. North Central Infused. This is our May podcast, and we are joined this afternoon by our right-of-way clearance coordinator, Jared Rumfelt.
How's it going, guys?
You got to talk on a podcast. I'm
Okay.
sorry. It's okay. Now, so we're going to be talking about how it's getting warmer and what things that people need to consider when they are starting to, go and garden outside. But first, let's talk about you and talk about what you do here at North Central. So what do you do on a daily basis?
I make sure everybody has safe, reliable, or sustainable energy. So I'm basically in the energy delivery business, is what I like to tell people. My job is basically to make sure that, the lights stay on when the wind starts blowing. And in regards to that, it's mowing, it's tree trimming, it's basically creating access for our tree crews. And on top of that, so safety, access, and sustainability is what I try to relay to our members on that.
And he's reading this without a crib sheet.
Yeah, so that's right. Well, nobody likes it when we have to come and trim their trees. And why don't you explain a little bit on why we do that and why we invest a good amount of money each year on right-of-way maintenance?
It's well, I say it's probably the biggest preventative maintenance program that you can have. Trees, I think, and statistics will show that I believe that trees are one of the most, or if not the leading cause of electrical outages. So it's extremely important to have a good vegetation management program, which I feel like we're doing here, and we're building one. We're on about a 6-year trim plan right now, so if you don't see us coming or haven't seen us coming, you're probably going to see us in the next, 4 to 5 years. We started in Olive Branch last year. I know some of our members have made comments that, now when the wind blows, when they were having some issues with reliability, now their power is staying on. So that's probably the biggest thing I do. It also allows our right-of-way inspector and our line crews to restore those processes and just improve those processes. So from inspection, after we clear a right-of-way, they're able to inspect our infrastructure. If a line crew goes out, they're able to look down the right-of-way and make sure that it's safe and clear. That's a big question that a lot of our members have is, well, the trees aren't in the power lines yet, or these shrubs were kind of a privacy between us and our neighbors, or us and a business and stuff. It becomes a safety issue too at that point. We want to be able to maintain our right-of-ways, like I said, so we can look down. Our line crews in the middle of the night are not digging through brushes and everything else. We're able to restore that power that much faster by having easy access to our infrastructure.
Good.
Okay. So what's the rule for when you trim? You go out to somebody's house, you trim the trees and stuff like that. How far away does it need to be from a power line to be considered safe?
Our policy is 10 foot from the outside phase. So on single phase, it's about 20 foot, and then on our 3-phase, depending on the structure of the pole, is 30 foot.
And that's a good width if you've got a limb that falls off or the tree bends as the wind's blowing.
And that's why we're trying to remove most of our overhang. We try to go more or less ground to sky. We do that because we have a lot of pine trees in this area. And, anytime the wind blows, they've got a lot of weak limbs. If you get any ice, there's a lot of, when it gets under that much tension, there's a lot of pressure on it, causes those limbs to break. So by allowing us to do that, we're eliminating a lot of those hazards.
Okay. So the process, right now you said you're in a 6-year plan to make a trim plan, to go out and trim all these trees and the debris or vegetation around a electrical line. What can people expect when it's their turn?
Well, it starts off with a phone call from North Central. It's automated. Usually there's a brief message attached. We always encourage our members to call us if they have any questions or concerns. So that's the first step. Usually that process can be, we try to do the phone call about a month before we start doing the maintenance work. Sometimes it doesn't pertain to members that live in an underground subdivision, but it also may allow them to give them a little freedom to know, that we have work going on in the area, that maybe allows them to give them a few more minutes to adjust their work schedules, just with the flow of traffic and everything, that they're going to be workers in their area. So basically, to start, like I said, we do an automated call. We try to do it 4 to 5 months, typically before the work begins. Then we ask our service provider, who right now we're using Trees Incorporated, C&M Brush Hogging, Rainbow Tree Care Scientific, and Oxnard Land Clearing. And currently, we have one other service provider that we're trying to get approved right now. So there's about 5 different contractors that are doing different types of work for us. So when we turn it over to the service provider, they go in and they plan their own work, and they try to leave notification cards for all of our members. And on that card is a contact phone number and the person who is planning that work. So they try to do that typically 2 to 3 weeks before they start their work. And then we always, before we try to start work, we always try to give the member, a courtesy knock on the door to let them know that we'll be in their area and on their property.
Okay.
And those contractors they've got identification as a North Central contractor. They can provide any information to get it with us if a member has questions.
Yes, most of all of our vendors will have an employee identification badge. Most of it is their company's identification badge. We have a couple supervisors for those companies that have North Central identification badges as well.
Good.
So.
And you're overseeing all of these contractors, but and North Central does not employ any direct right-of-way workers.
Correct. We have no direct tree crews at this time.
But you've got some certifications in the business, right?
I have several. I'm an ISA certified arborist, an ISA certified utility specialist, TCIA tree care safety professional, and I have my Mississippi herbicide license. And I'm debating whether or not to try to get my master arborist certification.
Wow.
So yes.
So professor said.
Hopefully that's the game plan, right? No, I wouldn't mind trying to teach a couple arboricultural classes at a couple community colleges in the area.
So the bottom line is, North Central members, your trees are in good hands with our folks.
We do our best, and we try to trim to all proper ANSI 300, the latest and the greatest International Society of Arboricultural line clearance specs.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what that word means, but
it sounds
official. Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of basically, like I said, we allow our vendors to do that for us, and it makes my job a lot easier than what it is.
All right. So we are approaching. I guess we're officially in spring.
Yeah, we're in spring.
We're in spring. So
we're in
soon
spring.
We'll be in summer. And
trees are growing.
Trees are growing. So and people are gardening. And people are redoing their gardens or adding to it. And so, what kind of tips would you give for people that are trying?
Well, the one tip that I would like to give, we notice it all the time, and we try to stop, is first really look at where you're planting your trees or your shrubs or your plants. The right tree, right place, and a great place to find that information is the Arbor Day Foundation. You can log on, get on their website. It'll give you a ton of information on the right tree in the right place. So really look up, also look around you, because we've got a lot of underground utilities. We're a digital world, so telecommunication lines are also underneath there, so it really doesn't allow for trees to get very tall if you plant them directly underneath the line. So the first thing I'd like to say is, please look at where you're going to plant the tree, realize how big it's actually going to get. And then the second tip that I want to give is about volcano mulching and how bad it is for your the trunk of the tree. Really spread out your mulch evenly. Don't make that volcano shape and cover that trunk flare of the tree. Really just spread it nice and even around the tree. It does not need to be up on the trunk. That just allows for a lot of insects and everything else you're exposing your tree to.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything for me?
No, and just to add, May is Electrical Safety Month. So when you're pruning trees and using those aluminum ladders, it's very important to.
Yeah, please call us. You'll probably see me. I'd be happy to come out and look at it.
800-325-8925 is the number you can call. You can ask for Jared himself. And his personal address. No, I'm kidding. No. But call us during our office hours, and they can ask you for some help. And if you're not there, you will call them back. You've been pretty good with communications.
Yes. and the one thing that I would like to say too is to our members is, as our vendors are going out and doing the work, sometimes they can trim the trees a little bit faster than they can clean it up. Try to be patient with us. Our vendors do a really good job of leaving notification cards that they are going to come back and clean it up. Sometimes that turnaround is about 24 hours from the time they actually do the trimming. So if you come home and you do see debris, please try to give us about a day to get the brush picked up.
Absolutely. But they can always call and make sure what's going on. And of course, the only time that we do outgoing calls at North Central is to let people know that there is going to be a visit from you or the contractors that you have.
Yes,
or working
correct.
with. Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We will be back in June. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Northcentral Infused is available on Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, and iTunes. Be sure to subscribe for the latest episodes.